It's time now for Bills on Monday. Sit back as we take a look at the latest from the AFC Eastern Division champion, Buffalo Bills. Brought to you by Blue Cross of Western New York, the trusted one for quality, affordable health care. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bills on Monday. Bob Kuczynski back again with you out here at Rich Stadium, where tonight we're going to take a look back at some of the comments from that exciting overtime win over the Los Angeles Raiders. 30-27, a game that saw the Buffalo Bills down by 13 points with a little over 5 minutes left to play in the ball game. Yet they were able to turn the trick and come back and knock off the LA Raiders, a team that desperately wanted to gain revenge from that 51-3 shellacking right here at Rich Stadium last year in the AFC Championship game. But it was not to be for the Raiders. It was meant to be for the Buffalo Bills. On our program this evening, we'll hear, of course, from place kicker Scott Norwood, who did not have a very good day, but he did come through with the winning kick in overtime. Scott will be the first to say it was probably one of the toughest days he's had in sports. We'll also hear from Bills coach Marv Levy, quarterback Jim Kelly, offensive lineman Jim Richter, and a few other players along the way who had taken part in that very exciting win over the LA Raiders. Now, what does that victory do? It means but one more victory, and they will have home field advantage throughout the playoffs right here at Rich Stadium. Or one Houston Oilers loss, and the Bills will be in the driver's seat, and the road to Super Bowl 26 will once again go through Buffalo. We'll be back with more of Bills on Monday and hear from some of those players right after these messages on the Empire Sports Network. Welcome back to Bills on Monday. Bob Kuczynski back again out here at Rich Stadium. Jerry Azar from News Channel 7 was at the LA Raiders game in Los Angeles, covering that game, of course, for WKBW-TV. And tonight, his post-game comments that he gathered in the locker room will be shared with us right here on Bills on Monday. Beginning with the fella who stood on the sidelines, chews about 50 packs of gum a game, Bills coach Marv Levy.
Well, just in a hurry, I'm exceedingly proud of our team. We played a very good team today, and we came away with a victory. So I'm extremely proud of the way they hung in, despite any number of times they could have caved in and to win this game. We haven't played in this weird a game since last week, but it was a strange game. It was a little different.
Talk about the anxiety of having Scott, having the problems he had earlier coming up to that last week. Do you have any doubts?
Well, I have doubts. If he'd made 15 in a row, you have doubts. But you just hope to put it through. It's easy to say now, oh, I knew he'd make it, but you don't.
What was his sentiment like?
I don't know. I didn't even talk to him after any of the misses. Once I think I asked him if he was trying to compensate because he was off to the right a couple times where he was trying to pull it more to the left, and he said no.
Mark, best comeback since the opening game '89 when Jim beat Miami on the final play?
Well, I can't remember everything that came in between, to tell you the truth, but it was a great comeback, and maybe that's pretty accurate. Yes. So we have to win another game, and I see that Indianapolis won, I think, on the road, and they've been playing. New England beat. The announcement was the other way around. Okay.
People have been wanting the big place in the special team, the return game all year. Yeah. Twice today set up scores, and once on the big touchdown return.
Yeah, we got some big plays from our special teams. One a kickoff return touchdown, and one a long punt return, which I believe helped set up a score. He said ability will get you to the top, but it takes character to keep you there. And so I do feel that they showed that today.
I don't want to have to go through too many of these, but came down to it. Everybody stuck together as a team. Everybody was saying hopefully put that first one through, but after we went into overtime, I went up to Scotty and I said, Scotty, we're going to give you another chance. So I'm glad it turned out that way, because Scotty's a guy that probably wants to win just as bad as everybody else, if not more. But it definitely ranks up there. It's a sweet one, especially when on the road in LA.
Talk about the last two drives of the fourth quarter, to get back in the position to win a game.
There's some passes I had to make. They blitzed a couple times and a couple passes I had to throw and didn't even really see the receptions. But when I needed time to throw, as you saw, I got the time. And I think the key to our success was when I had time to throw, we completed the passes, and it just came down to that.
Maybe the biggest one was a 2-yard at 100, right?
Yeah, it was big time. And I had to throw it a little quick because Ronnie Lott was sitting there right in the middle waiting for him to come. And I figured on a gun, I dropped back and I saw him waiting. So I figured we only needed the 2 yards, just a matter of hitting him quick because I knew he was going to get hit.
Took a while. You finally got the loft.
Could you move these down just a little bit?
You got the loft, and finally, and then he made the big one at the end.
Yeah, I missed him once in the end zone. He ran a good flag pattern. He came back and I overthrew him in the end zone near the end of the game before right before regulation ended, and it could have tied it there, and who knows, might have put it through. But at the end, we came out on top, and it's definitely a sweet one. It helps the trip back to New York.
Can you talk about the long pass you decided to go to Andre everything?
We ran that pass pattern probably about 5 or 6 times. It's just a matter of I saw they tried to disguise their coverage a lot by bringing either Ronnie Lott or Anderson up in the middle, and most times I read it, but at times we knew sooner or later that pass was going to work, but at times I had it called. It wasn't the right defense for it, so it was just a matter of going to Keith coming across the middle. Well, if you all watch the Buffalo Bills in the last couple of years, you know that at any given time we're capable of coming back. It really doesn't matter how many points we're down. We had a shaky start, but sometimes teams such as the Raiders, when we played against the Jets, some teams have tough defenses, and it's one that they'll knock you down a few times, but if you stick in there, you keep your poise, sooner or later everything's going to start working, and we just got too many weapons on offense, and we had some miscommunications a few times in there, and it hurt us a couple times because the plays were there. Just, I guess, at times I thought they knew the play, and I guess that's part of no huddle. Every once in a while, we're going to get a little confused.
Yeah, I mean, I was beginning to think that it never was going to happen for me, for us, really. We've been plugging away 2 years, since I've been here, and it never would break for us, and finally it happened for us.
Relive your return for us right now.
We had a right return on, and I remember cutting off somebody's back. I don't know who it was, and I veered back to the right, and once I got to the sideline, nobody was there.
What did you think when you saw nothing but green real estate straight ahead for the touchdown?
Get to the end zone.
But I'm elated, very happy it happened for me.
This was the most exciting game you've ever been involved in?
That in the Super Bowl. That in the Super Bowl. I mean, but I hate these kind of games, it ages you, But I'm very happy we won, and we just got to look forward to put this behind us and look forward to the Colts.
Funny you say that because that's what I was talking about to some of the guys. I tell you, it's got to rank up there in the top 5 of comebacks. It was a total team effort. The team got a lot of character coming back. Definitely, it's hard to win here in the Coliseum against a good Raider football team, and we showed a lot of character, and we didn't quit.
Looks like you were utilized more in the second half. Anything talked about at halftime to get you more involved in the offense?
Well, they were going a little bit more man-to-man in the second half, and I think they were leaving the middle open a lot with Ronnie Lott coming in to fill the hole. And, we just had the opportunities to make plays, and we had to.
Coming down there, we're down by 14 in the fourth quarter, get involved and have a chance to win it. A missed extra point would have won it. Then a chance for a field goal would have won it. Scott missed it. And then in overtime, get the shot. What was going through your mind and for Scott?
Well, that's a tough situation, man. I tell you, the guy's going to win a lot for us, and sometimes it's not going to go his way and our way. It's our job for the offense when we get the ball back to give him another opportunity. And we have to look at it that way. I mean, Scott works hard, and, of course we're all mad that he missed it, but, we have to get back on our job and try to give him another chance.
Yeah, it's real similar. It's real exciting.
People talk about the bad blood between this team. They were humiliated last year, 51-3. Now, they were playing down the revenge level, but down there in the trenches and throughout the game, we could see a lot of pushing, shoving, and altercations.
Well, they're an active team. They like that kind of stuff. But, no, the guys I played against played real clean, and, it was just a hard-fought game, both sides.
What was going through your mind emotionally? Scott Norwood, a missed extra point, a missed field goal, and then a chance to win it again.
Well, I figured it was all coming down where he had to win it at the end. He was going to do it sometime at the end. So I had faith in him.
Did you have faith in the team all the way down 14 down in the final quarter?
Sure did. I knew we were going to come back and win this game somehow.
It looks like right now you still have the inside track for home field advantage, 2 up with 2 to play.
Yeah, we have to go next week and try to win another one. If we do, then we'll be in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I can't think of one. Really, things just kept going. It looked so dismal for us, and things just kept looking bad, and then it looked worse. And but things started to turn around, and we kept plugging away and And if you can try, like we've talked about before, if you can try to play each down, hopefully good things will happen. And today they started to happen.
Talking about the emotional ups and downs, the missed extra point, then the missed field goal, then you get another chance to win it, and Scott comes through.
Yeah, I don't know. He had a rough day, and thank God he came through on the last one. And I knew if he just kept his concentration, kept his faith, that he'd be all right. And it's great that he got a second chance because he's a great kicker, and you hate to see a guy have such a rough day, but he came through for us in the end. That's what counts.
You've been quoted as saying earlier in the year you should have had more interceptions. They're now starting to come. You're getting on the ball, got the big one to help set up the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, the old phrase is, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, every day would be a holiday, right? Well, I mean, you could say all you want, you should have had more interceptions. What I mean is that I did have my hand on a few balls, I dropped them, but if you play each down and try to play consistently, then things will come. And I got a couple opportunities today, and the one we were in good shape on, and Galton, I got caught up, and then Nate intercepted it, and the last one was just, I just tried to make a good play on it, and was fortunate enough to get there, got a good read on it. So.
And finally, it's time to hear from the fella who just, you had to feel for him out there on the turf in Los Angeles, Scott Norwood. Of course, hanging over his head is the fact, something he will not be able to shake throughout his career, that miss in Super Bowl 25. So out we go to Los Angeles. He's made 9 consecutive field goals up to this game, and he struggled throughout. When Scott Norwood misses an extra point, you know he's having a rough day. But then it came into the overtime session, Norwood looking at a 42-yard field goal, and this one was true, and it gave the Bills a 30-27 victory. Throughout Buffalo today, on talk call-in shows, on fan forum, what have you, people have been calling up, some asking for his job, some saying he should remain with the team. Regardless, it's time now to hear from the man who was inside those shoes that made it so difficult to walk on that grass out in the LA Coliseum yesterday. So right now, let's hear post-game comments from place kicker Scott Norwood.
Well, your attitude always has to be. Your attitude always has to be positive. Situation out there today where just didn't have a great feel for it. I think at times head wasn't down good enough, a little tentative, and didn't hit some balls the way I normally do. It's tough at times to think on your feet and correct yourself, but I did on the last one.
Were you overcompensating? You missed the extra point left and the field goal right?
It wasn't really a matter of compensation. It was just a matter of really, in the end, final analysis, for whatever reason, the body just didn't want to stay down in it with it enough, and stayed down in, kept my head down on that last one real good, and a bit more aggressive some of the others. I think I was just trying to sweet touch him through, and just wasn't working.
What do you do to pull yourself back?
What do you do? Well, you try to forget about what's happened, if it's been bad, and I had a day out there where it's the toughest day I've ever had kicking the football, and you just try to separate your next kick and take it for what it is. If there's something to figure it out, and there was, my final assessment was I had to be a bit more aggressive and keep my head down a little better than I had been, and that's what I did on the final kick, and worked out there.
How did you feel when you finally saw the overtime one sail through the uprights? Describe what your emotions were.
Well, my emotions, of course, at that point are finally, it was a situation where I was very fortunate to get that opportunity, and it's more representative of not myself battling back so much as this football team. I'm lucky to have the teammates that I do have. They're coming up to me even before the final kick, telling me they believe in me. Jim Kelly walking up to me telling me that you're going to get another chance, and they provided that for me. The offense moved it down, and defense as well, stopping the team when they needed to. They were, especially after the previous miss on that last kick, they were really after me, doing some things there, but in a final analysis, it didn't shake me on the last one.
You want to tell us what they said, Scott?
I couldn't really tell you.
Intimidation work at all?
Well, it didn't work on the last one.
Scott, what did Ronnie Lott say to you? Did he say anything to you?
I can't remember what guys were saying. I really don't pay attention to that extent, but I know they're running by me, saying things. And
there was some discussion that maybe Del Russo was there.
I was ready to kick the last one, and nobody told me I wasn't going to attempt it, so I was prepared to kick it through.
Is it just a nightmare day with a happy ending?
Yeah, it was, I can't, there's been no game this season where I've missed more than one in a game, and it was just one of those days, an extreme that in the end you learn from it, but throw it out, forget about it, move on. It's not really representative type of kicker that I am.
Scott Norwood in a tough position, and I'm sure you haven't heard the last of the controversy surrounding he being the place kicker for the Buffalo Bills. When we come back, we'll have more of Bills on Monday. And don't forget, a reminder coming up right after this program at 8 o'clock, you'll hear live from Bills General Manager Bill Polian with Paul McGuire for the Bill Polian press conference. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more of Bills on Monday right after these messages on the Empire Sports Network. We have with us now special teams coach for the Buffalo Bills, Bruce DeHaven. And Coach, that game against the Raiders, I mean, a little bit of everything from the special teams, and you had the first kickoff return for a touchdown since what you're telling me, since 1978?
Yeah, I believe it's 1978. I know it's the first one we've had since I've been here, and kind of added to that, the punt return, I understand, was the longest one since 1978 as well.
What do you attribute that to? Is it just a case where something you've been putting down on paper kind of finally worked out on the field, or how do you explain it?
Well, I think that maybe we worked a little bit harder on our blocks in this ball game than what we had been. It's also a case that you can do everything right and still maybe not end up with a great return. And in this case, Al, made a pretty good little move to get out to the corner, and we had some guys that ended up with a couple of blocks.
Yeah, Steve Tasker, for one, I know did a fine job of maybe knocking off the last guy who could have caught him.
Yeah, Steve got the block right there that probably let him free for the touchdown, but there's some other great blocks too. Carl Gardner blocked two guys with one block. Butch Roll got two different blocks. Hal Garner got two different blocks. It was a lot of second effort that made it go.
Now, Hicks said after the game on the punt return, you had a block on. So that normally would mean what? There wouldn't be as many guys back there blocking for him.
Well, this is true. And in fact, we have a drill that we work every week that when we got a block on, everybody peels out of there to a side. And if the returner makes a couple guys miss, then you got a chance to get to the wall and get a big play. And that's what happened. Cliff made some guys miss, and all of a sudden he's out there outside everybody at the wall.
Was that one of those plays where he took the ball at about the 10 and then kind of backpedaled? I think he got back as far as maybe the 5 trying to avoid some tacklers. I remember watching on the 2, it was kind of, looked like maybe he'd made the wrong move. Then suddenly one of those, no, yeah, great move.
Well, not really. Where he caught the ball at the 10-yard line, that's kind of the demarcation point. We don't want to, field it any further back than that. And he may have given a little bit of ground, but I thought he made a pretty good decision on it.
Okay, now the obvious question here. In a case like yesterday, Scott's having a rough time, kind of struggling out there. What can you, as the special teams coach, is there any input you can make at that point? During the course of a game, can you spot something being done wrong mechanically? I mean,
it's really difficult. About all you can do is just go and talk to him, and all you can say is, hey, you're probably going to get another chance, and when you do, you got to make the kick, and that's exactly what happened for him.
Coach Levy said after the game it had run through his mind to maybe use a Del Wiso for that last kick, but he said he had never been approached about on the sideline, so I guess it never got that far.
It never ran through my mind. Scott Norwood's my man, and until somebody tells me differently, he's the guy that's going to be doing the kicking.
Why would it be tougher for him to kick off a grass than natural turf? Can you explain it for the layman?
Well, there's more chance when you go in with your foot on artificial surface, you're not going to dig down into the surface, and if you do hit the surface, you just kind of skip on through into the ball. On natural turf, if you take a little bit more of a divot, it's going to slow your foot up a little bit more than artificial turf does.
Yesterday, an indication to me, and certainly you know much better seeing him every day in practice, was the missed extra point was kind of an indication that he was really having a bad day.
Well, the missed extra point was we had a bad snap on it, so we were a little bit slower, threw off his timing a little bit, and then we didn't get the laces turned all the way around, which you still got to make those kicks, but it wasn't like that was a perfect snap and hold, and everything was right for him.
But there's a case where Scott's still going to be the one to shoulder the blame, at least from the fans, on something like that.
That's the way it works.
Special teams, you're heading into the playoffs. You do not have home field advantage completely wrapped up, but you've got at least the first game here at home, and you know you're going to have a week off. Special teams can mean a lot when you get into a playoff situation.
Well, you know, we like to tell our guys that, you know, sometimes that special teams win championships. And, you know, what we mean by that is that oftentimes in close ball games, a big special teams play can turn the tide. And you get into the playoffs, most of them are going to be close games.
When you have two returns like yesterday, just as people have wondered about Scott's confidence at this point, on the other side of the coin, I got to imagine for Edwards and Hicks to have success in a game breeds success.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing it does is everybody works a little bit harder up in front of them because they've seen the results and, hey, we scored a touchdown last week. Let's do it again.
Coach, thanks for being with us. Good luck with you for the rest of the season.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Bruce DeHaven will be back to wrap up Bills on Monday right after this. It's time to say goodnight for Bills on Monday. We, of course, would like to thank the cooperation of WKBW-TV, News Channel 7, and Jerry Azar, photographer Bob Dingwall, for providing us with some post-game comments right from the L.A. Coliseum. And don't forget, coming up next, right here on the Empire Sports Network, it's Bill Polian press conference with Paul McGuire. Bill Polian will address the media and talk live right here on Empire Sports about that very exciting overtime victory. We'll be back next week at 7:30 with more Bills on Monday, talking about that game against the Indianapolis Colts, one that, if everything goes the way the Bills would like it to go, will wrap up home field advantage for them throughout the playoffs, and Super Bowl 26 will once again go through Rich Stadium. That takes care of our program for this evening. We'd like to thank our guest, and again, thank News Channel 7. Until next week, this is Bob Kaczynski saying have yourself a good night and a much better tomorrow. Brought to you by Blue Cross of Western New York, the trusted one for quality, affordable health care.